I'd like to call the meeting to order. Can we stand for the pledge, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can we have the roll call, please?
Mr. Gambale is absent. He is out of town at this time. Mr. Kometz?
Present.
Mr. Setlak?
Here.
Ms. Sims-Schmierczak? Here. Mr. Bradkey?
Present.
Mr. Pondinas?
Present.
Mr. Schilling?
Here.
With us today, we also have Donna Little of the Clerk Treasurer's Office and Councilman Brian Blazak.
Okay. Thank you. We'll move forward with election of officers. I'd like to entertain a motion or entertain any nominations for the president of the Sanitary District for 2020.
I move to elect Frank Bradkey as president of the Sanitary District.
I'll second.
Any other nominations? Okay. I'd like to entertain a motion for the role of the vice president for the Sanitary District.
Make a motion to nominate Patty for vice president.
I'll second that.
Any other nominations? No? Okay. I'd like to entertain a motion for nominate for the roles of president to be myself in 2020 and for Ms. Patty Sims-Smirchuk to be vice president.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Seeing no opposition, the vice president and president roles are set. Would move to approval of minutes. I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the minutes from our last meeting, which was held December 17th, 2019.
So move.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Seeing no opposition, minutes are approved. We'll move to new business. We have 4 items here. One is to consider the write-off for the unpaid sewer debt in the total dollar amount of $173.98. So I'd like to entertain a motion to approve that write-off.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion is approved. Next is to consider a new construction landscape sewer credit for the address 9450 West 106th Avenue in the total dollar amount of $97.02.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Seeing no opposition, that is approved. We have one more. I'd like to entertain a motion to allow the town clerk to approve these sewer credits as we move forward, as long as the applicants follow all qualifications that are required.
So moved.
I got a question. How far going forward? Was that something that was done by the town manager before?
It was.
Okay. Will we be getting another town manager? And if so,
We can put a qualifier on that motion. We could amend the motion.
yes, I'd like that.
Okay.
Amend the motion.
Okay, I'd like to amend the motion to the verbiage, allow the town clerk to approve any new construction sewer credits as long as the homeowners meet the qualifications until there is a new town manager in place.
I'll
So-
go along with that.
Okay, I will so move on the amended motion.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Seeing no opposition, motion is approved. And then we'll move on to, we'd like to entertain a motion to approve the financial services agreement with Baker Tilly for 2020 as authorized by the board executive.
So moved.
I have one question.
Yeah.
I may have more, but I have at least one. I did see that the council has already approved the contract with them, so what is our approval doing?
The language is different in the sanitary district agreement than in the town council agreement.
So
So-
ours is a separate agreement?
It is a separate agreement, yes.
Okay. Has there been any value put on it? An estimated value?
I have not been apprised of that.
Because aren't we already having some bills that we're authorized to pay? Oh, no, that's in wastewater. But anyway, for this same contract, is that under the contract, or would that be something else? I don't understand. If we're approving it now, would we're already paying them?
I don't know if there's any on the docket right now for Baker Tilly, but.
Well, there is in
there is.
wastewater.
And wastewater.
Okay. They may have already, I know they've already been doing some advising with any of the councilmen.
But they're in
have,
sanitary district as well.
Any knowledge on this?
$1,600. $1,600.
I I'm not privy to the information behind that. Just that the language was different in yours, that's all I knew.
Okay, we can get clarification on that.
I apologize.
No, that's okay. I just didn't know what we're exactly approving. If there's a contract that's already approved, then what are we approving?
But we're approving for Baker and Tilly to provide financial services agreement for us because it is the sanitary district and wastewater is the taxing body.
For our district.
So it's a separate contract, right?
Yeah, but that way
Separate
they'll
from the
do each
council.
they'll do for the council, they'll do for the sanitary district and water district.
With the budgets and everything else,
Right.
financial report.
Okay, so then they have how many contracts? Probably 4 or 5?
Probably 4 or
Right.
5.
Okay.
I'm seeing some head nods.
I believe four.
Okay, I have a problem approving something that I got handed 20 minutes ago. And it's several pages. I don't know what's in there or what it's asking for. You know, and I'm doing it without seeing anything or knowing what's on there. It's kind of like one of those things, you know, read before you sign.
Yep.
And to me, to approve it and say, go ahead, well,
We
I
can
don't
I
know.
mean, we can defer approval
Well,
if we feel we haven't had time to look at it.
yeah, if that's okay, then fine. Go ahead and see. Because there's some, I know the contractor, well, I did see about this company, which I'd never heard of, and saw that they bought out the prior one. That it's a large national company, that's not a local place or regional, it's national. I think they have 34,000 employees, 179 offices. And it's a matter of, I think we fall further down then as a client of theirs in terms of importance in that scheme of things. And I don't know if any of that's been looked at or considered. So, it's just something
Maybe our town council members could address that if they've met with them.
Brian,
Oh, I know, we basically, they're going to provide all the accounting services for the clerk treasurer office and the rest of the unit.
If I can
Basically,
interject.
the rate, basically the rating's gonna be the same for all units.
And they've maintained the same local office that we were using with the prior firm that they,
Not the prior, well, the one they,
they purchased.
basically they're based out of Fort Wayne, if
Right.
I'm not mistaken.
well, I think it's Mishawaka.
And is it Mishawaka?
Yep.
Okay.
That's where Umba was.
But I looked them up. They're a very large national company.
Oh, yes, they are.
Whereas Umba, since most people you say that, and they probably think you should say excuse yourself after you say that, but they are not as well recognized. And I don't know if there's any kind of thing about going more towards local or the possibility of something, you know, I don't know if any,
The fact that they're better
Oh, yeah.
equipped to handle what we need is probably the reason why.
but what I'm getting at, was there any advertising?
Any advertising for what?
These accounting services?
To my knowledge, no.
Oh, okay. That's what I was getting at. The combined dollar amount, I think, is rather significant and usually, to me, crosses some thresholds, but that's okay. That's what you're, so, I'll go ahead with the,
We feel comfortable with approving?
no,
Or you don't
defer, I
defer?
want to look at it.
Is this
Okay.
about the Baker Tilly?
Yeah.
So the reason that you guys
The
have
mic-
your own separate contract
The mic's not on.
is because if you guys recall, the prior town council utilized Sender and Company. My office utilized UMBA, which is now Baker Tilly. And so what we ended up, and then you guys wouldn't approve the bills that were, when Baker Tilly was doing services for the district, remember, then you guys wouldn't approve the bills. And so, the general fund got hit with all of the sanitary district invoices. So this year, the town has contracted with Baker Tilly. They would like to use, Baker Tilly across the boards. We thought it was in the best interest so that the general fund doesn't have to keep picking up the sanitary district's expenses, to have a separate contract so that when you guys have expenses on your docket, you'll pay them. So, sorry, I was running, so I'm a little out of breath. Well, I just ran it. So
No,
that's
that's
why they're
okay.
in
Some of the
there.
discussion was going in another vein in terms of its size and its combined dollar value. And
For what in particular?
Hmm?
What are you questioning in particular?
Well, for one thing, none of us saw it before we walked in the room here tonight.
The docket?
No, the contract.
Oh, the contract. Oh, okay.
We were just handed it.
Oh, okay, I thought you said
And
you
most
were-
things is like read before you sign.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a matter of, that's why asking, is it a separate one or is it just
It's
an
the
addition?
same ververbiage, it's just replaced with the word
Doesn't make any
sanitary
difference. I haven't
district.
seen the other verbiage either, so.
I guess ultimately, like you had mentioned, the town council approved Baker Tilly regardless, so we were just trying to be, a little more collaborative with the board to make sure that you guys were on the same page. If you don't want to do it, ultimately, they already did it, so it's really kind of a moot point, but,
Well, that's what I was asking to begin with.
Right.
right.
Is that if it's already been approved, then,
Then you
Why
don't
are
have
we
to approve
asking?
your own contract, but bills will be paid from the sanitary district.
well, they were before. I mean, they're already on our docket anyway.
Right, because they've
Right.
approved it, but in the last couple of years, you guys did not pay for services that were occurring from our financial
Yeah, I'm not
advisor.
talking about those. I'm talking about,
Well, we were preventing that from occurring again.
asking to approve a contract about what am I approving? Something that I haven't read, that's
Okay.
already on a docket to pay, and
Because
is it
they've
really
already given
necessary?
approval to use them.
But you made it sound, is what you said, that this wasn't really necessary to be on our,
We were trying to be like having a group effort here with the board, so we don't run into the same issues that we had previously, which was refusal to pay for services that were occurring for the sanitary district.
But right now, Baker Tilly is approved by the town council.
That is correct.
For all boards and all departments.
Yes,
So it's not necessary for us to approve anything tonight, it's done.
as long as you guys are
Correct.
gonna approve your docket to pay for services utilized or services for the sanitary district. If they contracted, I don't know how else to explain it, if they contracted to utilize Baker Tilly,
Correct.
they can't turn around and deny payment on the docket.
Correct.
And that's what I think the thought process
You were
was.
being polite and you were offering them the opportunity to approve it themselves. In other words, as a backup to the town council, you're welcome to approve them as well.
But
Or
it's not
not.
necessary.
It's not necessary.
But payment of the bills for the district is necessary if they're due and owing. We just can't get into the same issue where the general fund is sacked with paying the sanitary district expenses.
well, I think this could have all been avoided if you would have said you approved this contract covering
Well, I
all
wasn't,
the- all
I
the
wasn't here. I
services.
mean, I literally ran from my child's
No, I
basketball
mean,
game to get
I'm
here
not
in
talking
time.
about today, I'm talking before today.
Oh, okay.
I didn't have a chance before coming in here to read the fine print in this single spacing
Mm-hmm.
of what's on here and everything else, and it was done. I can understand what you're saying, but for us to approve, just a matter of, this is who the provider is, and it was obtained through a contract approved by the council. So that will then become the vendor for these professional services as they're billed on the docket.
Okay, that's fine, as long as you guys
Right.
are fine with paying the bills for the contract signed by the town council.
Well, based on what was said, it doesn't make any difference, because the
Doesn't matter.
contract's been let.
Signed
It
by the
does
town
make a
council.
difference because you have to make sure you pay the bills out of the sanitary district. We can't deny, it can't get on a docket and you deny payment of the bills and then hit the general fund like has been occurring, so I think, yes. Yes.
I don't want to talk about the past stuff, because
But that's,
that gets on other
that's-
things with multiple vendors and multiple
Right.
services and multiple contracts in different companies. This, you're
And we're
talking
just
the
worried
same
about
one.
making sure the bills are paid out of the funds
Right.
where they need to be paid from. That's the bottom line. So if you guys are comfortable paying for the financial services under the approval through the town council, then I think we're okay.
I think if we change it, that we acknowledge that the council has issued this contract for these services. I mean,
Because there's really, technically, we don't have to approve anything, it's approved.
right.
The contract is, yeah,
Hmm?
as long as we agree to pay the bills on the docket. This part is,
Move point.
right.
Okay.
All right. So how about we say it this way? I'd like to entertain a motion to acknowledge the financial services agreement with Baker and Tilly for the town of St. John.
So moved. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion is noted. We have no reports and correspondence. We'll move to payment of bills. This year, 2020, there's been a change in our routine business. We, in the past, have received a docket for the sanitary district. Now we have a docket for the wastewater APVs as well. I think, Beth, since you're here, we might have some questions on that or some discussion on that. But if we want to move to the first one, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the sanitary district APVs in the total dollar amount of $21,785.77.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Seeing no opposition, the sanitary district bills are paid. There are some questions from the board members regarding the wastewater docket, since that is a very large dollar amount, and this is not something we have been, we've done in the past. So do we want to ask about some specific questions regarding this? There's been some question regarding deferring payment of this APV since we're not familiar with these items.
If you defer payment, then the vendors wait another month. Does somebody have a copy of the docket? My guess is going to be on the wastewater docket, most of them are can pays, meaning they've already been paid. Okay, so mainly you're looking at NIPSCO. So NIPSCO's already been paid. Group health insurance has been paid. Baker Tilly will be paid because they are under contract. And then you have payroll, which has already been paid. You are going to start seeing a wastewater docket. Many years ago, and I sent an email, I think it was before 2011, the sanitary district was charged with approving both the sanitary district docket and the wastewater docket. And then there was a creation of a utility board that is not currently appointed. And so, and I don't believe that the town council has any desire to make appointments to that board. So what that's doing is it's putting the duties back on the sanitary district to approve both dockets. So the sanitary district oversees but what's called the district and the utilities. District is funded by our taxpayers for our wastewater and sanitary or sewer services. The utilities is funded by our ratepayers, so anybody who pays a utility bill. But both of those two items still relate back to sanitary services. So you have a sanitary district docket, which means it's funded by all of the taxpayers, and then your utility docket means that those charges are being kind of paid for by the money of our ratepayers. But regardless, the two items still fall under our sewer and wastewater or, sanitary services. Then, well, Ken's not here, but he also serves on the Waterworks Board. So if you've ever looked at their dockets, they're very similar, but for clean water. So the Waterworks Board approves a water district. So remember, that's taxpayers. And then they approve a water utility docket, which is the water portion of your utility bill, the ratepayers. So you're just following suit with the way we believe the ordinances were written. I believe 635 was written for the creation of the sanitary district. You're the umbrella for wastewater and sanitary services. 735, Ordinance 735 was written for the Board of Waterworks, and they're the umbrella for the water district and the water utilities. So you are going to start seeing two different dockets. Did you give me water instead of wastewater? That's fine. But you are going to start seeing two dockets for approval instead. I don't know, Do we have the sanitary
And
district?
Josh, we're not questioning that. It's just there's several large line items on here.
Right, I was looking at the,
'Cause this-
water district and water utility. I need
This
the,
total payment that's due is $631,000.
pretty typical
So
for the
that's-
wastewater.
And again, because this is the first time we're seeing this,
But to defer the payments, I mean, I'd rather you ask a particular question than just to defer a payment for another month, which means our vendors sit until the end of February without getting paid, and, you know, that's not really fair either.
understood?
Do you have anybody have a docket I can look at?
I think these are the waterworks, I don't think I had gotten everything.
The ones you had, yeah, yellow.
That way I can answer any particular questions you may have.
Matter of fact, I've got mine here.
Oh, thank you.
It's not
Okay.
a really good printed copy, but these are some exceptionally large ones that probably could use
Okay.
clarification. And how often are we going to see these?
Yes,
Yeah, are
BLB, you're going to see almost every month. The BLB 36 transmission line is part of what we call a recapture agreement. And so anytime somebody builds and kind of taps into that line, they have to pay a fee to the town. And then we hold the fee and we have to pay back the developer because he put the money in originally to run all those lines. Okay, so as part of that agreement, and BLB is John Lawton, as part of that agreement, we have to collect the money on a building permit, and then every month we have to reimburse him for that dollar amount.
So going forward, that will
You will see
be that
BLB
line item on.
every month until the end of that contract.
That's, as
Yep.
long as we know.
That's why, and then payroll, you've got, I see that one highlighted. So if you see WW customer and then you see WW admin, the admin side is your public works side of the payments. The customer side is the utility billing side of the payroll payments. It's just, it's out of the same fund.
So
It's
it's a
just,
personnel cost.
it's a personnel cost, right?
Okay.
So when you see customer, that's payment for my office and anybody else who's paid out of the sanitary district or wastewater from town hall. So anything that's kind of customer related will come out of that WW customer. If you see WW admin, which is, you know, one line item lower, that is the Public Works Department. So those are payroll items out of that department. And then many, and I think you guys were on the board when we did this, the ones that you've highlighted for the town of Sherrville, when we did that whole bonding project.
Yes.
Okay, that's our portion of what we have to pay back to the town of Sherrville, because remember, they took the bond out, and then we repay them for our portion of the expansion of the wastewater treatment plant.
Will that be monthly?
That'll be monthly.
Okay.
Oh, and then the sewage works bond, you will not see monthly. That's just a bond payment.
Okay.
So that happens twice a year. Trying to see. So then, yeah, you have NIPSCO. Pulse, of course, is just kind of like a new name for McShane's. ServPro, we had a flood in the town hall basement, so we had to have ServPro come in and do like mold remediation. So everybody kind of got a portion of that to pay.
I think the largest question was because of the large amount
Right.
of this docket.
So you will see dockets similar to this.
Which is fine, it's
fine.
just,
Right.
ongoing, will this
Yeah.
be monthly? Several of these large items will be monthly, so
Yes.
at least we have an explanation of them.
And I guess you can look at it like this. So the districts don't have nearly the same amount of money as our utilities have. So that's why our utility dockets tend to be a little bit larger. There's just, you know, utilities are where
Okay.
we tend to make a lot of our money for the town. The districts, the budgets are smaller, the revenue is smaller, but this is pretty typical minus the bond payment.
Okay, and given the fact we sign off and approve it, we're on the hook if any questions come up.
Yep,
So we
you
have
and
to
me.
be
Right.
300% sure we understand what we're approving.
We go through a pretty detailed docket payment system. There are checks and balances across the board from the town manager's office, who Margaret's stepping in now, the departments, so Public Works, make sure they go through it with a fine tooth comb, get the signatures from the town manager's office. Then they hit Kathy, she does all my APs in my office, she searches it. Then Marilyn, my chief deputy, goes through and searches it, and then I give the final okay. So generally, it goes through a pretty detailed check and balance system. And I'm certainly, not upset at all. I tried to rush here. I know I was going to be on the agenda to help answer some questions that you may have for budgets and dockets and all that good stuff, but
We're glad you came.
yeah, so my daughter had a basketball game and,
Well, and we weren't questioning the
Right.
legitimacy
Yeah.
of these, it's just if someone were to approach any of us and
You wanna
ask
know what
us
you're
for an
paying.
explanation, we're held to a higher standard, but we should have a reasonable
I
answer.
definitely understand. I'm glad that I was able to make it, to be able to answer
Yeah,
that.
that was very helpful. Thank you,
So-
Beth.
Hey,
Thank you.
Beth, how long does that recapture agreement go on
Oh,
the
my
sewer?
goodness. I think we've got, there's 2 recapture agreements for John Latin. One is longer than another. Yeah, I think we're within like about 5 more years because,
This payment is both the agreements, right?
yeah.
Okay.
It's not a payment that the town incurs, we collect it on a building fee.
Right.
And then have to give it.
We reimburse.
Yeah, we don't have fees for it. We're just kind of the middleman. We collect on the building permit and then pay him back. And that does go through a pretty detailed check and balance too. Rick, our building and planning, he checks all the building permits, and then they go to my chief deputy to double check. And so those accounts, we make sure that they balance out at 0 every month. But yeah, I mean, Rosewood, you're gonna start seeing one for Rosewood. They have a recapture agreement. Mill Creek will have a recapture agreement. Ileana, the school, they have a recapture agreement. So as soon as anyone starts tapping in, we are the middleman, and then we have to reimburse.
Okay.
I think
Are we
this
good
is
with-
great dialogue.
Are we good?
Thank you for taking.
I want to thank you because, yeah, it
No.
was quite an alarming amount, especially to not know.
That's what I
What they were
figured
for.
when you saw 2 dockets, that it would be
Yeah.
a little alarming.
You
Yeah.
knew, that's why you came.
I know, that's why I know.
Okay.
That's why I ran here.
Question for you though, because I was looking at the wastewater was the, like, amount we see on our water bills to treat the wastewater. But you're saying there's another amount that comes in from building fees or tap-in fees? Into
No,
the-
well, the
into the
recapture
funds?
agreement, like the recapture agreement is what I'm saying, so,
I know, but that goes into this fund that is being paid here, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so that comes from where?
what do you, it comes from a
'Cause the
building
building-
New
permit,
construction.
from new construction building
Okay, so the building
permits.
permit fee goes to,
A portion of the building
No,
permit,
but
the
it-
building permit fee goes
whose
to
account
pretty
does
much
that go into first?
every fund. A building permit goes into the general
So-
fund, the water fund, the
Well, who gets it,
wastewater
do you get it
fund,
first? Who gets it first and then breaks it up?
the building department, the
Okay.
building and planning department,
So they get it,
yes.
and then they split it up, and I assume gives you something, and you deposit the funds.
And then they have this whole piece of paper, and they have all their amounts, and Donna, you receipt these in all the time, divided up with what portion goes where, and then my front counter clerks, they come and receipt it into the separate funds. I don't know.
Because I was looking at these things of where the money comes from.
Right,
This is of where it goes, but I also have a concern about where it comes from. And my impression was, while the majority may be coming from that, what we see on our water bills, that handling fee,
Yeah.
but you're also saying that there is what appears to be a rather significant portion coming in from building fees.
but that's not really our money.
It's a pass-through. We're billing it out,
I know, but it comes in,
right?
right? So I'm looking at it, is that included in the
You'll
the
see it on the
budget?
revenue side,
Correct.
and then you're gonna see it on the expense side.
Right.
But I never really view it as our money, because it's not really our money. We're collecting on behalf of the developer. So it's not really revenue, I guess. I don't know how else.
Well, I mean, that's like saying, yes, I get some revenue, I put it in my checking account, I pay it to somebody else, maybe on the same day. That's not really mine? Yes, it is. I
But
mean, it
this
went through
is
my
not
hand.
really ours. because the developer put the money up front, and then we're just collecting on his behalf.
You're almost recording it as a liability, and then you're paying that out when we submit the bills on the docket. So it's not a revenue or expense, it's just coming through, we're collecting it.
Oh, I understand that, I understand that. I'm just looking, though, as a fund, where it's coming from and where its sources of funds is coming from. It isn't just the sewage treatment fee. The
Correct.
source for paying all these things includes a portion from the building fees. I'm not saying whether it stays or not, or whether it's a pass-through or whatever else. It's just the source of money coming into this fund to pay these bills.
It's not in this particular fund, though. You'll see that it's not in the WW fund.
Well, I
See
would-
all that
that's-
going down?
that's-
It's in the 36 transmission line fund.
But
So
that's like, I'd like to see, well, might have to discuss it outside, but a bit of, but I never know about the budgets. I'm getting things about, if I go over my own bills, say on a credit card, is something. Okay, here's the statement, here's these bills. And I can look at it, did I incur these bills? And I say, well, I never dealt with this place. I will question it. I treat the money that goes in as mine, as taxpayer money, user money, whatever. And saying, so I have a concern about where it comes in, where it
Right.
goes out. I'm not
It's just
questioning
not
that somebody's,
taxpayer money, though, or ratepayer money.
well, the sanitary district and the fees that comes from the taxes is the sanitary district, right?
But this BLB with the 36 transmission line is not ratepayer or taxpayer money.
Okay, you're going off on tangents, you're missing the general point. Is just what goes in and what goes out. I'd like to know about everything that goes in and getting everything that goes out and what it's going for. And
Isn't that what I just did, though? Didn't I just sit here and you guys asked me questions and I answered them?
well, I'm just asking about what
Right.
going in, and then you say, well, it goes in, but it doesn't go in.
It
Either-
doesn't go into the wastewater fund. I mean, you see it on your docket because it's a sanitary line, but it's not ratepayer or taxpayer money. It's a separate recapture fund. It's just a pass-through account.
I think the question is, because it's a developer fee, it's
No.
completely separate.
No, it's
the-
missing the point. I think we ought to move
developer
on. I
agreement.
have to be out of here by a certain time. I cannot stay long tonight. I might get in touch with you later.
Okay.
I'm maybe on a different plane or whatever, but understanding instead of sitting here and just seeing things and saying, okay, and saying that without anything else, and somebody says Baker Tilly Vircho. Okay, I came through and that's what I got. Nobody ever said ahead of time that anything was contracted with them until I walked through the door. No idea about what the arrangement is. And then I'm coming in here and right there saying, approve it to pay. And
Well,
then
these
saying,
are
you're gonna be held
technically
accountable for that.
What,
And that's what that gives the
right.
feeling of being uncomfortable.
Right, but these are also what the town by ordinance consider to be can pays, which mean this is a contract. So I can't turn around and say, maybe I don't necessarily like making that payment, or you don't necessarily like it, so we're not gonna pay it. We have to pay it. And I pay it before, these are already written and gone. Because our ordinance states that they have directed me, not even given me authority, the council has directed me to make certain payments they deem necessary pre-approval. So even if you came in and said, I don't like that this is a developer fund, we're not gonna pay it, it's kind of too bad, it's being paid. It's kind of more of a matter,
If you got a bill for $30,000 from Google, would you just pay it?
no, but Google isn't a contract amount.
Oh,
NIPSCO,
but if you-
payroll.
If the town had what I'm saying is, I didn't know about any contract. So if you
Well,
don't
it's
know
been
about
here,
the
like-
contract with someplace, would you pay it?
When was the gates built?
The contract with BLB has been in since 2007.
2006, 2007.
I think the point that's being
But
made
we
is.
didn't know
Right.
about that. We just
Right.
took on this responsibility. How am I supposed to know about that from back then?
Beth, going forward, if
Right.
any questions arise, you are approachable
Yeah.
before the
Sure.
meeting. We get the docket, Margaret's been giving us the docket. So going forward, if there's any line items,
Just ask.
questionable,
Right.
Yep.
Can we approach you?
Absolutely.
Email you and say, hey, we got a question.
I will do my best to attend. I know we're in transition. I know Steve attended most of the meetings
Right.
and was here to answer. And I know with the transition of a new town council, that person probably won't be
Will not
ready,
answer.
I don't
right,
know if
for a
it's
period of
necessary
time.
for you to give up your evening. I think if our questions can be answered via emails, if we get the docket.
I mean, I know Frank asked me I mean, I answered right away. I try to make myself available to answer questions at all. It's just, you know, we're arguing about Baker Tilly and a contract that's been in place since 2007 and NIPSCO. Like, the point that I'm trying to make is some of those particular items are paid pre-docket. I mean, they're
Right.
just paid.
I guess if I could just speak on your behalf. I think.
You're gonna take it anyway.
I'm gonna try it anyway. I think the point is, this is the first meeting that we're looking at this stuff.
Right.
Sanitary district is old hat. We've done that before, not addition. So we come into a meeting today, here's your docket, approve this payment. We don't even know what these things are for. We didn't have the docket a week in advance where we could ask questions or reach out and look at it. So I think when we look at transparency, we talk about transparency, if we're being asked to approve payment or approve a contract, you need some time to look at it, because I don't want someone coming down the line and saying, oh, the sanitary district approved that, and we just approved it without looking at it. Because the bottom line is, somebody gets held accountable for something. And if we approve it as a board, we need to know what it is. We don't want to hold up bills, we don't want to hold up payment, that's not
Right.
the point. But the point is, if we sit here and just approve something we don't know, when that question gets asked to the public, because these are public funds, they're gonna come back to this body. And they're gonna say, why did you approve that? And we can't say, I don't know. So I think that's what we want. We don't have a problem looking at this stuff, we don't have a problem approving this stuff. We need time to look at it, digest it, answer the questions that are appropriate, and then when we get to the meeting, we're ready to go. Our sanitary district meeting usually lasts about 4.5 minutes.
I don't think we
So-
can get it out any faster than Friday, though. I mean, Friday before the Tuesday meeting.
But even that would be acceptable, because that's at least, you know, you have Monday as a working day, and you answer emails all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, you answered mine very quick today, I appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, I try to be available, and I'm not upset by the asking of questions, it's just,
It's a learning curve.
it's a learning
Right.
curve, and I know we all have a lot thrown on us,
Right, and it's different, it's a new day, it's different for everybody,
That's
so.
right.
The questions will subside as we get
Oh,
familiar with
absolutely.
what's
Right.
coming as
I mean, the
well.
whole thing of you approving 2 dockets, I knew, you know, so I tried to quickly let you know that that was coming, because I'm sure when you were looking and you thought, what the heck, you know, we usually get just the sanitary
ours is
district
small.
docket,
I
it's
thought it was a
small.
I thought it was a mistake.
Oh, it's a mistake.
like, we were meant to get this.
And now you've got a sanitary district and a wastewater, and so, again, like I said, I plan to be here for water, did the waterworks have their meeting yet? Yeah, I
Yeah,
plan
they
to be
did.
here for all 3 meetings, but, you know,
So,
it didn't
so are we
happen.
okay to approve this?
Yes.
We're good with the questions, our questions have been answered?
I've been,
Everybody? All right. I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the wastewater APVs in the total dollar amount of $631,075.46.
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye, seeing no opposition, motion is approved. Any public comment? We'll take that as a no. We'll move to adjournment. I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So move.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, meeting is adjourned.
Motion on that one?
What's that?
Those two are duking it out.
Rob did, and
Rob
Yeah.
did,
and Rich seconded.
okay.
Patty thirded.
Yeah, she thirded it.